Hey, Brett, how are you?
I'm fine. How have you been?
Very well.
You're packing, getting ready to go
I
out on the
am.
road.
Yes, I'm packing.
Uh,
I'm having a little help though
from
from a person that's going to be on tour
so
with me.
you
So they've come to help me pack because otherwise I'll miss the first show.
someone who helps you pack. That's a friend. That is a true friend.
Well, it's somebody that's going to be working on the tour. I don't think unless they were working they would even take this job on because I'm very frustrating.
It must be hard to leave a place like Cornwall, England.
Well, the thing is, I love the States, so it's like coming home for me in a way. I really do love being there, and Cornwall is beautiful. It's a gorgeous place, but I do get excited when a tour starts.
I read when you travel, you take a wine cellar on your bus these days.
That's very true.
Is that technically true, though? How can it be a wine cellar if it's on the bus?
Well, it serves the same purpose. Let's put it that way. And I make a lot of people smile at the end of the night.
Are you a red wine person or a white wine person, or is it not that simple?
Normally, I'm a red wine person. It's my fave. But if it's really hot, like it is where you are right now, then I just might be a white wine person that night.
So that's what you'll be cracking open Tuesday, July 21st at the Paramount Theater.
But after the show.
After the important point.
I never drink before a show. Never, ever.
Have you in the past and it was a bad experience and you decided not to, or has it always been a rule?
It's always been a rule. Just because I have this crazy fear that I'll fall off my piano stool. And without drinking, my heels are high enough that could happen without even a drink. So I figure no drinking until the job is done.
This new CD is Abnormally Attracted to Sin. When I think of the word sin, Tori, I think about religion and rules. And I'm not suggesting that all sins are ambivalent. Some things that are sins are awful things, and some things that are sins are maybe not so awful things, depending on your point of view. What does that word mean to you?
Well, as a minister's daughter, pretty much everything was sinful growing up. There wasn't a lot that was looked upon kindly in the eyes of God. So I was brought up to believe that you give your body to your husband when you get married and you give your soul to God right now. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, that's not much for me, is it? What do I have left?
When the body and
woman?
the soul, there's nothing left. Oh.
That's right.
So, is your art in part a reaction to that religious upbringing? And could you say that's something that's really great that came out of a religious upbringing?
Well, my father says, what would you write about, Tori Ellen, if I'd been a dentist? And I kind of think, fair enough, he has a point, but that can't excuse all the torture.
Yeah, I was going to say, being raised Catholic, there are a lot of parallels between pain and dentistry.
I think, the songs over the years, religion has been a trigger point just because a lot of the times it wasn't about the compassionate heart of Christ. It wasn't about that. It was like what you had just talked about, a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions and not very creative as far as being open-minded.
Now, your last disc featured a number of characters, and you became those characters on stage. You channeled those characters. Is it kind of liberating to do a new project like this, Abnormally Attracted to Sin, and to be, for lack of a better word, free of those characters and just be yourself?
Well, I think that I'm changed forever by allowing these different sides of myself, which we called characters, to express themselves. A lot of times, I think, as you get older, you can get stuck in an image that your friends have of you and your family has of you, and you can stop growing as a person, not necessarily as an artist, but as a person, because everybody will say, oh, Brett's not like that. Oh, Brett would never think to do that. And you're thinking, oh, Brett thought that, days ago. And so I guess these women from the record before, they're inside. They live inside now, and I don't have to put rubber tights on to channel one of them.
I'm glad that you brought up the issue of being stuck in an image, and I'm not asking everyone about the demise of Michael Jackson, but I'm interested in your take on his life and your take on how this whole tragic story is being covered too.
Well, in England, the coverage has been slightly different, I think, than the States, although it's full on here. I think the perception is somewhat different just because the shows were going to be in the UK, and there's a lot of talk about the consequences of all that. Brett, it's one of those things where it seems like he had such a healing gift with his music for a lot of people, but he didn't seem to have the healing gift for his own life. And that happens sometimes when an artist is so far removed from the music that they make so that everybody else benefits and grows from their music, but they don't seem to be able to grow personally. And they get trapped, in an image like you're talking about.
Right. And I'm glad that hasn't happened to you, Tori Amos.
Well, I've had to work really hard over the years, very hard, to have a personal life and to stay away from the fame side of things. I think that side of things is incredibly seductive, and it can twist you if you don't pull yourself away from it. And I married a guy who didn't want to be a part of that. So for love, I made a choice, which was, okay, when I'm not touring and doing the records, I'm going to live a very reclusive life and be a wife and a mother. And that's sort of maybe why I'm able to have a balance, more of a balance than maybe I thought I would have had.
You call it a balance. Is it ever difficult to alternate those two lives, because they are two very separate types of lives?
Well, Tash tours with us. This will be her 5th world tour. She's 8.5. And I think because she and Mark, it's sort of a family experience touring. Mark is live sound and records the records as well, along with his sound partner, Marcel Van Limbeek. And so I think that because he and I work together, and because she's with me touring, then it's one of those things where they're not separate when I tour. They're a part of it, and I don't feel as if I'm another completely strange person to them when I step into the musician.
Well,
they know her. They know her. We have a giggle about it.
Tori Amos, thank you.
Thank you, Brett.